Today's episode is brought to you by our local sponsors, Ravenwood Incense and Fragrance Producers, Betsy Cornell, licensed massage therapist, and Courtney Wiggins, social justice activist seeking equality for all. Thank you so much for your support.
Welcome to Ask a Witch, a podcast fueled by the curiosity of listeners like you. Join our host as she discusses various aspects of witchcraft and spirituality with intellectual and authentic members of the metaphysical community. This podcast is made possible by Blessed Bee Tea and Apothecary, a one-stop witch shop nestled in downtown Traverse City, Michigan. And now your host, the bewitching Bellamy Black.
Hello and welcome to Ask a Witch. I'm Bellamy Black. In this podcast, we answer a variety of questions sent in by listeners just like you. Today with me, I have Alder here. Alder works in the shop with us. They are an amazing person and totally fashionable. They're always coming in with cool outfits, a lot of which they've altered or designed themselves. Their makeup is always on fleek. And I thought that they would be a perfect person to come in and help answer this question that we have today about Glamour Magick.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
But before we start talking about that, let's talk about the tea that we're drinking today. How do you like it?
It smells amazing.
Good. So I thought it'd be perfect for us to pick Get Up and Glow tea. This tea is perfect for happy and healthy skin. And the story behind it is we were approached by a customer fairly soon after I started this business with my previous partner, Courtney. And the customer who had approached us had hormone-based eczema. So every time this young lady's hormone cycle fluctuated, as female regulation does all the time, she would have these huge flare-outs of eczema and big outbreaks on her face. And so she wanted something to kind of help with that. And so we put this tea together for her. And it contains red rooibos and elderflower and damiana, all three of which are known to help even out skin tone and improve complexion, and it helps address concerns like eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, blotchy skin, things like that. So it really helps with any kind of like skin irritations that are happening on your face. It has red clover and nettle in it, which is very hydrating, so keeping that face nice and supple and happy. It has calendula, which helps reduce inflammation, and St. John's wort and eleuthero, which help regulate hormones and emotions and stuff like that. So, and then it also has burdock and ginger in it, which cleanses the system. It's a blood purifier. It's a diuretic. It's an antioxidant.
I love ginger.
Yeah, I love ginger too. I'm a sucker for ginger.
You gotta have that spice.
Yes, totally. So it's really nice blend. It's a little bit, the red rooibos in it is nutty, so it's a little bit savory. It's pretty approachable. It's definitely not sweet in any way. I hate sweet tea. I'm fine with sweet tea, but I prefer to always go something more savory and sultry versus the sweetness of it. So there you go. Cheers. Enjoy.
My lady, a message has arrived for you.
Do you find yourself craving more connection? Are you wanting to experience more emotional, physical, and spiritual intimacy with others? Or maybe you're longing for a better relationship with your own body and soul and unique purpose in this life. Belonging looks different for everyone, but the paths we take to get there, the path where we feel welcome and wanted in the world, is very similar. Katie May is a guide in the art of belonging, and she has been guiding people along those paths for years, through workshops, retreats, and one-on-one couples counseling. You can join her at Blessed Bee for the Art of Belonging on Saturday, June 29th. On Saturday, July 27th, she'll be hosting Coco Relating, where she'll be sharing how to create more conscious, organic, committed, and open relationships. And on Wednesday, August 28th, for Blowjoy, where she'll show you how to take more pleasure in connecting with your partner and improve emotional and physical intimacy in your relationships. You can also check out her website for some free resources, coaching opportunities, and to keep up on the latest offerings at www.katiemazing.com. That's KATIEMAEZING.com, Katie Mazing. Can't make these classes? Check out blessedbt.com for more options. Thank you. Thank you for the letter. Are you ready for the letter?
Yes.
Okay, it says, Dear Bellamy, I want to ask you about glamour magic. I heard this term recently. It resonated with me, but yet I don't know much about it. It is my understanding that to put a glamour on someone is to make them see a person or an object as something that they are not. I feel like I do this unintentionally on a daily basis. See, my fashion style is what some would call eclectic. We understand that.
Oh, yeah.
Don't we? When I step out into the world wearing these items, I feel exotic and daring. But in reality, underneath it all, I feel pretty small. I am projecting the strong, confident image, but this is my glamour to the world. My specific question is, am I using this glamour as a crutch? Sometimes I feel like I am deceiving myself and others by portraying a persona that isn't my true self. It almost feels like I am using these costumes and makeup to protect my soft, squishy persona inside. Is it helping me to be a strong and confident person that I want to be? I feel like I'm a long way off from feeling the way my clothing projects. How would you suggest I approach glamour? I'm missing something. Thank you for your help. Fashionable in Frankfort.
Fashionable in Frankfort.
So before we get into this question, I want to ask you a little bit more about yourself.
Okay.
A little bit more about your spiritual journey and what brought you to the couch today.
I started dipping my toes into witchcraft when I was a teenager and just kind of exploring. I started off with I kind of found interest in the goth subculture, and that was kind of like my gateway into kind of
It's so good.
finding my way into witchcraft and stuff, because I just got so interested in the music and the how you dress and things like that, and all the spookies and fun stuff that comes with that, and just kind of playing with all these different, there's so many different branches within the goth subculture alone that I could just kind of play around, whether you want to just wear all black or, put color in there, or, and there's such an emphasis on makeup and clothes and along with the music and stuff like that, that it kind of just naturally led into this. I got into finding out about the planets and my astrology, and from that it just kind of trickles into different areas of everything.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of moms out there clutching their pearls going, I knew my goth daughter was going to turn to witchcraft.
Yes. Yeah. My gateway drug.
A bit of a gateway, yes. For sure. Well, I think that's so important, and I think that feeling out that goth culture really is very empowering for a lot of people.
It is.
And it's not a path that everybody chooses, right?
Yeah.
There's so many people that choose to dress more towards stereotypical fashion of the time or the era, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think with every generation, there's a subculture that kind of wants to darken or dress in a darker aesthetic or be in that darker palette, if you could say. So why do you think that is? Why do you think we're kind of drawn to that darker aesthetic?
I think there's something so interesting about the mystery of it, and the mystical. I mean, it's kind of fascinated everybody for years and years and years and years. Just this unknown, and finding out about the unknown and exploring it. And I with astrology and stuff, I view it as a better understanding of myself and other people, and so it gives you a way to understand things better, understand yourself better, and understand the people around you, and maybe portray yourself in a certain way that makes you feel more comfortable in who you are.
Yeah, I think that touches on a big point right there. So just feeling like you can be a part of this culture and be true to yourself, and be organic and be authentic, and not feel forced into what Vogue is telling you to be, or what society is telling you to be. You can just kind of make your own mind up with it. And I think that also leads into the subcultures, right? You have your like pastel goths who
Oh yeah.
who still want to be like bright and pretty and like girly. You know, I say girly like not as in a feminine, but just like that's kind of the feel of it. Is
Just
a little
kind
bit
of
more,
like the bouncy, upbeat goth kind of thing.
And then you have like cyber goth and like
yeah,
you know,
and
it's
80s goth is like its own amazing thing on its own.
yeah, and punk. I mean, punk is
Yeah.
killer too, and like it's just like yeah, there's so many different worlds that you can kind of delve into.
Like steampunk even is kind of
Yeah.
like an offshoot. like-
Totally.
and that's its own thing
Yeah.
too. Like if you are just interested in steampunk, you can just spend so much time just in that realm.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you have a particular interest, you can, you know, sit in that spot and find so many things that are amazing about it. Or you can, if you have like this eclectic style, you can just kind of take bits and pieces of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I see people do that all the time. I do that all the time where I'm like, I'm gonna be this kind of person today.
Yes.
So it's like picking a costume, and that kind of alludes to our listener question here. So, I think that a lot of people use fashion and makeup as like their first gateway or entry into magic, and I think they do it unintentionally, as our listener had said. What do you think about that? Do you think that this is kind of a gateway into magic for people, like through their clothes and makeup?
I think so, because I think, you know, with different emotions and things, you tend to, or at least I do, depending on how I feel on any given day, I will kind of gear how I dress, or whether I decide to wear makeup or not wear makeup, or what kind of jewelry I decide to wear based on how I'm feeling. Or, you know, if I'm like want to be seen, I will dress a certain way. Or if I like want less attention, I will dress a different way. And so you can kind of gear how you want to present yourself. And so I think, you know, these different subcultures, if you're interested in that, you're kind of bringing out a piece of your personality from the inside, and you are choosing to portray that however like extravagant or, you know, casual that you want.
Yeah. So there's rules with fashion, right? You can't wear white after Labor Day and like all kinds of things. There's rules that society tells us with fashion, but when you choose an eclectic style, whether that's goth or bright colors or what have you, there's a girl I follow on TikTok, and she's like got the craziest clothes on all the time, like giant frog feet boots, and
I think I know the person you're talking about.
A purse that's a paper clip.
Yes.
And like she's like the weirdest stuff, and she layers it all together. She looks absolutely bizarre, but also very fashionable at the same time.
Yeah,
and
it's like kitschy.
Yeah, it's such a unique person. Like it's such a unique way of portraying themselves on a daily basis. I think that so you mentioned sometimes dressing in order to have yourself like be seen or have yourself not be seen. Let me ask you this. If you don't want to be seen, what do you usually wear?
I tend to like go more casual and downplay. And as a gender fluid person, I like to bind sometimes. And so generally, if I'm feeling more outgoing, I'll present more feminine. But if I want to be seen less, I'll present more masculine.
Interesting.
And so, like, from my perception, binding is kind of a way of protecting that femininity from unwanted attention. So that's kind of my way of, and it gives me more confidence that way. It takes something that like, okay, I'm trying to protect from unwanted attention, but it also gives me the confidence that I am being seen beyond this femininity.
Yeah.
So
beyond your breast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they are talking about binding, they're talking about binding your chest, your breasts down so that they can't be seen, just in case anybody didn't know what we were talking about. But so yeah, that's fascinating. So you're protecting not just yourself but your femininity.
Yeah.
And you're saving that. So I think that some people would think that when you're binding, you're trying to be more masculine, and in a way that's true, but really you're protecting your feminine side.
Right. Like, I feel like everybody does it for their own reasons.
Sure.
But, like,
Of course.
For me personally, it's like, I definitely like, some days I'll feel more one way, or some days I'll feel, more masculine or feminine from day to day. But generally, if I decide that day, I'm like, I feel like binding today, it's more of I want this particular kind of attention, or be perceived this particular way.
Yeah.
And it gives me more confidence to kind of go about my day, knowing that, okay, I am being seen this way instead of this way.
Oh, it's very psychological.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You're thinking of like the psyche of the general public and understanding why they're looking at you and why you're perceiving that they're looking at you, right?
Yeah.
I think that's, there's also something to be said about like the hyper feminine dress too, and the tits out and short skirts and tummies out and like all that too. That can be very empowering also.
Definitely.
I asked about how you dress to be seen or not to be seen, because I think that there's an underlying question in our listeners' question here that isn't maybe as clear. But to me, when I was reading this, it feels like when they dress in exotic clothing or when they dress in an eclectic style, they almost feel like that style is protecting them or acting as a barrier to who they are on the inside. So when people see them, they go, that's the person that dresses crazy. They don't see the person who is loving or thoughtful or has, interesting perspectives or is intelligent. Like, they don't see that person as a human. They just go, that person's weird and they've got weird clothes. So in some ways, like, I feel like them dressing in an eclectic style is almost like that's what they're focusing on. They're focusing on my weird style. They're not focusing on who I am as a person on the inside.
Right.
And that acts as like a barrier, like a protection for them. So for them, like, instead of dressing, because if they dressed in sweatpants and in a sweatshirt, then they would seem approachable.
Yeah, true.
But when they're dressed in an eclectic style, it's like, well, that person is out there. I'm either going to stare, and in which case she expects the stares. She knows that that's what people are looking at.
Yeah.
They're not looking at her at her core. And so I think that she's almost dressing like that to protect herself from being vulnerable. She alludes to that by saying, sometimes I feel like I'm deceiving myself and others by portraying a persona that isn't my true self. So, but I don't think that she is.
No, I don't think so either. I think just like piercings or tattoos, it's an extension of yourself. So it's like this inner being and personality. It's just more on display.
Yeah.
It's not that you're deceiving people. It's more on display. And so it does make you more vulnerable to have that on display. And so it's putting more control in your hands of how much or how little you want people to perceive you.
Yes. Yeah, that's totally true.
Because I feel like in certain settings or certain groups, I will go extra, or, I will downplay it depending on whether I'm at a certain event or I'm in a certain situation. If I know the kind of people that I'm going to be around, if I'm going to be around a bunch of nerds, then I will play that up because I know they'll understand. Those are like my people. I know they're going to get it.
Right.
And so if you know you're going to be in a situation where it's like, could be perceived a little like, oh, she's weird or they're weird, you can either say that I don't care.
Yeah, yes, I am.
Yes, I am weird. Hear me roar. Or you can downplay it and show what you want to show.
Yeah. I think that most people think that way. I think most people say, I'm going to put on these clothes and I'm going to be loud and hear me roar and I'm going to wear what I feel is good. And I'm going to be strong about it. And then I do think that this is kind of like an uncommon, but maybe like an unspoken version of wearing your glamour on the outside. And that's just like I said, like just protecting yourself and be like, that person's too weird for me to talk to. I'm not going to talk to them. So there's a spectrum, right? There's like, there could be various levels of why or how people are doing that. I wanted to say, what is normal? right? Like, so there is like we said, there's these like rules in fashion, and there's like, you know, you can't wear brown boots and a black belt, and you can't wear white after Labor Day, and like there's all these rules, but who set those rules, and who said that those rules have to be what they have to be? So that's a social construct that we've put on ourselves. And I think that the people that choose eclectic styling and makeup are those who are saying, screw the rules.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do it when I want to do it. Grandma's funeral, I don't care. Grandma would approve of me showing up in my clothes that I want to wear, right?
Yep.
But I think there is a difference between wearing clothes because they're cool versus wearing clothes with intention. And I think that's what this reader is kind of missing. So I think that they've started wearing these clothes because they make them feel powerful, but they're not thinking about why they're putting these clothes on or why they're doing it. They're just putting them on because they make them feel good, which is great, but they don't know why it's making them feel good. And so one of the suggestions that I have for this person is to put your clothes on with intention. And this is something that you and I can I help you as a witch?
Yeah.
This is something that we do as witches, is like when we put on our makeup, we pick the colors for specific reasons. We pick our jewelry, which is usually, you know, embedded with crystals or what have you, for a specific reason. I've even heard of people like drawing a tarot card and getting dressed off of that tarot card.
Ooh.
Which is a great idea.
I love that.
I love that idea so much. So they dress, you know, they pick the Fool card and then they dress a little jester-esque or a little clowny, you know.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Or a High Priestess card, and then they feel like they need to be, you know, like in this like role of leadership, and so they'll dress like a leader. But yeah, so tell me a little bit about what some of your practices are, like when you're getting dressed with intention.
I think very often thinking about like the tarot aspect you were just talking about, I will get dressed with like an element in mind, or, usually it'll be like an element, because I feel like that's like 4 or 5 things that I can just narrow it down, and it's real easy. So if it's like I want to be grounded, I'll pick like earth tones and stuff. Or if I'm feeling a little feisty, I'll go with like the fire. I'm thinking like fire sign, because I got
absolutely
lots of fire. Like with crystals and stuff, I will pick based off of like what kind of, like, preparing myself for whatever situation I might be in.
Yeah.
And kind of like, okay, picking crystals or colors or things that associate with how am I going to control the emotions based off of where I'm going to be at.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and and you know, it goes to what you were saying before too, is like if I want to be seen or if I don't want to be seen, I pick my outfit off of that. And so it's about being self-reflective and listening to your body and listening to what you need out of the day. Is your social cup totally empty? Then dress accordingly.
Yeah.
Is your social cup totally full? Then dress accordingly.
Yeah.
But then you could also say, if my social cup's totally empty, maybe I need to refill it somehow, right? And maybe that's time and space away from socials and society. Maybe you need to like embrace that, or maybe you need to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. So just listening to what you need, and looking at it as an act of self-love and self-care when you get ready in the morning, getting dressed, brushing your hair, putting your makeup on. Those can be such mundane activities, such like every day we got to do it, whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of just, okay, I need to hurry up and get this done, and just kind of check out while you're doing it.
Yeah, and that's fine occasionally, right?
Yeah.
But if you're feeling the day already, like that's when you need to kind of sit and address how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way and what you need to do to feel better. So I guess what I was trying to say is, like, if you feel like you're having a shitty day already, maybe dress like the Empress or the High Priestess, and dress with power and dress with conviction so that you can change how you're feeling about the day around.
I totally agree with that. Like talking about makeup too, as somebody who's more visual, I have different palettes that if I'm feeling a particular way, I'll go off of like the names of the colors on the palettes.
Oh, sure.
So like I have a palette that's like all named after animals. And so you can incorporate that animal energy into how you want to feel for the day or
that's
how you want to
cool.
prepare for the day. I actually have a palette that has like the tarot names of the cards on it. And so you can incorporate, like you were saying, incorporate or embody that tarot card
Yeah.
with whatever you want to take with you for the day.
Yeah, that spirit animal or yeah, I love that idea and that mentality and just like so you're getting dressed with intention and you're putting magic behind why you're choosing the items that you're wearing or why you're putting on the makeup that you're putting on. I just had my daughter on here, and she mentioned that we did an episode of what it's like to have a mom that's a witch, and she said they always wear lots of makeup. And I was like, not always, but I do. And so we started talking about why I put the makeup on and what I tell myself like as I'm putting it on. And one of the things I was saying is like I put my eyeliner on to make sure that my sight is clear, that I can see myself clearly, that I can see that I have perception of the people around me, maybe even better imagination, maybe opening my third eye. You know, like these
Ooh,
are
I like that.
conversations I have with myself when I'm looking at putting on my eyeliner or my eyeshadow and choosing the colors that I choose, opening my eyes to the world and to the things around me and not shutting it off or turning a blind eye to things.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Like for me, I generally like with eyeshadow and stuff, I tend to go brighter and then I more often than not go to like black eyeliner. And so eyeliner is kind of like for me like the protection over like this is what I want, but this is the protection kind of as the barrier, the boundary
Yeah.
of I don't want more than this.
Yeah, I've heard of people saying that too. Like, I am going to make this eyeliner sharp as a tack.
Yes.
Like, this is a point. This is a thorn. Like, don't mess with me because
Yeah.
my eyeliner will cut you.
I love
will
it.
cut you. So yeah, I love that too. That like that level of protection. And you know, with lipstick, I say this too. Like, I will speak truth, or the words that I say will be strong and true. You know, so just and those are things that you can come up with intuitively. Like
Yeah.
you don't need a book for that. Like
Right.
just what do you want out of your makeup today, or what do you want out of your earrings or your jewelry? So jewelry is another thing. Is I pretty much always wear almost 10 rings.
Yeah.
Pretty much always. And when you see me with all 10 rings on, I am not feeling strong. I am not feeling okay.
Interesting.
I look like a badass, but I am not feeling like a badass. And so I put those on almost as protection. It's like my knuckles, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you can't mess with me, I'll punch you. I won't punch you, but metaphorically, I'll punch you. But I put that on because it makes me feel strong, and it makes me feel like I've got like metal of the earth.
Your armor.
It's my armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Same with like necklaces or things like that. Let's talk a little bit about piercings and tattoos and what those do for people, because that's I think people typically, I did a short stint as a professional piercer, and I will tell you it is not always well thought out. But what do you think that piercings do for people?
I think piercings can draw attention to parts of you that you're confident about or want to be confident about. Like there are, I have piercings like facial piercings and stuff, and so they kind of accentuate the parts of me that I like, and so I feel like it kind of draws attention to those spots, and so it's kind of like you're kind of directing the eye to where you can feel confident about yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, then with piercings, it's like all of the beautiful jewelry you can add to that. Like I've seen so many different like combinations of jewelry that like you're just like, oh, it's so aesthetically pleasing to just look at it. But I think you can.
So I agree. I think that piercings are very empowering for a lot of people, and not just in our American culture right now, but for centuries across multiple cultures. And their piercings are seen as like acts of bravery. They're rewards for people. They're status markers for people for different cultures, and so I think that they're it's a coming of age thing. You know, I remember when my daughter got her ears pierced, and like I said, I did a short stint as a professional piercer, and I pierced kids' ears, and they cried every single time. Not because I was a bad piercer, but because they weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for that coming of age ceremony. When I took my daughter to get her ears pierced, maybe I can link the video. I'll try to upload the video of my daughter getting her ears pierced because it is the most magical thing I've ever seen. She was 3 years old.
Yeah.
And she told me she wanted her ears pierced. And I was like, if that's what you want, okay, let's do it. And, you know, I gave her many options to get out. And she was like, nope, it's what I want to do. And she sat in that chair and she got her ears pierced. She didn't even flinch one time. Like, not even one time. She was like, that's it? Like, that's all that was?
Vivian's a badass.
She's a badass. I was, like, so impressed with her. And even the piercer was like, man, like, this is great. And she's like, yep, do the other one. Like, she's like, I'm ready for it.
I'm ready.
And, like, I see grown men, like, passed out getting piercings, you know? It's just like, man, guys, like, it's not that bad, you know? And so it is, like, it's a strength aspect. It's a rite of passage aspect. There's like so many different points to it. It's also, I'm different and I'm doing something different. You know, it's kind of going against the social societal norms of your parents' generation or your grandparents' generation because they were told no, you know, for the most part.
Yeah.
That was something else I really loved is I would have like 80-year-old people come in and be like, I've always wanted my ears pierced, but I was never allowed to. And now I'm here 80 years old getting my ears pierced.
That's amazing.
It was a rite of passage, you know? So I think that piercings in particular do that for people, not to mention pleasure.
Yeah.
So I think that people seek pleasure in pain sometimes, which is kind of a taboo topic, but we're here for it.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody who has in the past struggled with like self-harm and things like that, getting tattoos and getting piercings is a way that I can have that pain response, but have it done in a safe environment, in a clean environment, you know, and you get those responses from your body that you would get from doing those things.
Yeah.
But then, you know, there's a whole aspect of, you know, taking care of your tattoo and taking care of your piercings. And, you know, it's
self-care.
It's more of a self-care, self-love of, you know, doing these things instead of coming from a place of pain and hurt and trauma.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that's a hard topic, but I think our listeners will appreciate that vulnerability and understanding that there are other avenues to seek release of those feelings that are not harmful to your body.
Right.
My husband is a bit older than me and doesn't have any piercings or tattoos. And whenever I'm like, I'm desperate for a tattoo right now, he's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so I try to explain to him, but what I try to say is that my body is a temple and I want to adorn my temple with offerings to my temple. I want to decorate my temple. Every beautiful church has stained glass windows and altar cloths and tapestries and you know, they pay attention to the pews and the woodwork and what's in it. So, you know, those are temples. There's some with like beautiful mosaic work and there's just so many beautiful temples out there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like they're gorgeous and they're all adorned and decorated. And if I'm going to view my body as a temple, then I want to adorn it and decorate it in what makes me feel strong and powerful, what makes me feel confident in who I am. You mentioned that you put your piercings in places where you feel confident and where you want people to look. I do the opposite with my tattoos.
Really?
I put them on my fat, flabby arms because I feel like people are looking at my arms anyway. And that's my self-conscious like issue. You know, that's me perceiving that people are looking at my arms, which nobody cares. But I think that they care. But if they're going to look, they're going to see a tattoo. And so when people look at my arms, then I just think that they're looking at my tattoos.
Interesting.
And I'm like, now you're just looking at my art. And that's fine. And thank you for admiring my art.
Yeah.
Same thing with my legs. After having Vivian, I had terrible varicose veins. Terrible. Like bubbly and gross and like really looked nasty. And at the time, there was nothing else that could be done. I saw a specialist and he made them all like medically sound, so I wasn't in danger, but they were still kind of bubbly and gross. And so my insurance wouldn't cover the aesthetic part of getting them taken care of. So I was like, well, I could pay hundreds of dollars to this guy, or I could pay hundreds of dollars to a tattoo artist and get them covered up.
There
and so
you go.
that's what I did. And so now my legs, like I know that people are looking at my legs because they're looking at my tattoos and they're not looking at gross bubbly veins on my legs. I have since I've gone back and gotten them fixed, but I still appreciate all my tattoos.
Yeah,
on
and
my legs.
it changes your perception of that part of your body too, because when you look at it, you see the tattoos as well.
Yeah. I've seen like big girls with tattoos all over their bellies, and I'm like, oh, that's so pretty. Like, how can you even be mad at it? You know, like you're just your body is beautiful, and like you know, you can appreciate it for what it is. But if you don't like it, and I'm not saying everybody has to put tattoos on their body, because hopefully we would want everybody to do their best to try to love their body at every state that it's in, and that's really hard.
It is.
That's really
Definitely.
hard too. And that's something that I struggle with as well. But now I'm larger in my weight right now than I've been in a really long time. I'm happily married, and I'll blame it on that. But what I'm trying to do now is love my body at this weight, because when I look back at pictures, I like from when I was thinner for whatever reason, probably more athletic, but I still like, I would look at those pictures at the time of taking those pictures in the past and be like, man, I'm so fat. I'm so ugly. And that's so terrible.
I can relate to that.
And now I look at those pictures, I'm like, it's gorgeous. Like, you look awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you look fantastic. Like, why would you think that that looks fat? So I'm trying to love my body now at my bigger weight, so that when I look back at pictures of myself when I decide to get healthy again, because it's not that I'm this weight right now because I'm not healthy and I'm not taking care of my body because I'm busy or whatever reason. You know, I can give you 1,000 reasons, but when I decide to get healthy again, I want to love my body for being healthy. And I want to love my body now for being here to support me through all this stuff.
Heck yeah.
I heard somebody say one time that she was a really big lady. She was probably like 400 pounds. Like she was 400 to 600 pounds. And she was a tarot card reader and a psychic. And she said, God or spirit or creator put all this weight on me to protect me on the outside so I could protect my spiritual self on the inside. She was like, I got all of this protection on me to keep me safe. So my spirit safe is safe on the inside, because I deal with everybody's emotions.
I love that.
I do too. So I think it's about perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Big thing about perspective, it's about intention. It's about loving yourself and loving your temple for what it is and for what it does for you. I know, and you know, that we've both been vessels for life into this world. So that changes your body entirely too.
And that's something, like, as you're saying these things, I'm like, I totally resonate with that, because I've been going through these things, and I've always had like trouble with the way I perceive my body and stuff, and body dysmorphia and things like that. But after having a baby, it's definitely like you are in a completely different, like, your before body, your during body, and your after body are all completely different things. Like, and trying to find clothes and things that make you feel confident, especially like it's only been, you know, a couple months, is like really been a chore and really been something that I've been having to like really be intentional and think about, because I can't just like throw on clothes right now and be like, okay, I'm confident to go out and do all this stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely, especially as like women, we have like female bodies. Our bodies transition all the time. My husband, this made me so mad. It was swimming season. I had already cried 3 times in dressing rooms trying to find a bathing suit that looked good.
Yeah.
And he goes, just grab me a medium size off the rack.
Oh my God.
He grabbed me one off the rack. I'm like, how can that even happen?
How can you do that?
How does that even happen? And so I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he has that consistency in his life. He doesn't have a mirror in his room. I just
must be nice.
It must be nice. He like just leaves every day and just feels confident in the clothes that he puts on. And like I said, like I'm happy for him that he doesn't have that complexity in his life, but that's not something that I am able to do in my life, because I need to feel confident when I leave the house. One of the things that I did, which was a really good practice for me, and I will tell this to people who are holding on to the clothes that are their favorite clothes that are too small for them. Take them out of your closet. Take the too small clothes out of your closet. Keep only the clothes that actually fit you right now. If you put it on and it's too tight and you don't like it, put it aside.
Yeah.
I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm not saying throw it away. I'm just
Put it
saying
in a
put
tub
it
or
aside.
something.
Put it in a tub. Put it in the basement. You can fish it out later. You know, we're in Michigan, so our weather changes. So I have like 2 summer bins. I have my fat clothes summer bin and then my skinny clothes summer bin. And I have the luxury of having space for that.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm just saying, like, set it aside for now.
Yeah.
So that when you go to your closet and you reach for an item in your closet, it'll be something that fits you. And you know that you can put it on and you know that it's going to feel okay. Maybe it's not the vibe for the day, you know, like maybe you're like, actually, no.
Yeah.
And you have the prerogative to change your mind.
Yeah.
But, like, just know that it's going to actually fit you, though, you know, and that's something that it took me a long time to realize, like, I'm not going to save that so it's going to fit me at the end of the season.
Right.
I'm gonna save it for another time.
Yeah. Just recently, I love flannels. I have like 42 flannels. I call them my emotional support flannels. And like most of them don't fit me right now. And I was getting so frustrated, and I had some set aside from like before I had baby, and was like, oh, I'm going to save these. But now they're like even more don't fit.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm tired of having these, just sit there. And then the ones in my closet didn't fit either. So I like cut them all up and Frankenstein patched them into one that does fit.
Fun.
And so it's like this one flannel that's got like 4 different colors of flannel on it, but it's still a flannel that fits.
I love that.
So yeah, that was kind of my way of, if it doesn't fit you and you want to wear it and want to feel confident in it, change it so that it does fit you.
Yeah.
Or I've taken shirts that, don't fit me anymore. And if I like the picture on it or whatever, I'll cut it out and sew it onto a hoodie or something that does fit. And you can wear it and feel confident in it.
Yeah. I think that's like, I think modifying your clothing is such an empowering act, especially if you look at it as an empowering act.
Yeah.
If you're just doing it for fun or for crafts, like that's fine too, right? And not everybody is crafty, but the purpose for why you're doing it, you altered that flannel to become more of a comfort item for yourself. And so, while you're doing that, thinking about this is my new item that I'm making for myself. I'm going to put my love and intention into doing this.
Yeah.
And I think you probably, whether or not that was conscious or subconscious throughout that practice, like you put it on afterwards and it made you happy.
It did. And I think the items that I have like made to fit me, I get more compliments on those because it's like, where did you get that? Like, that's so cool. It's so unique. And then you can be like, yeah, I made it.
Well, what a confidence boost that is, right? So we're getting close on time here, and there was a couple points that I wanted to touch before we got done here, so we'll kind of blow through these, but we can always meet again, too.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about hair cutting. So to cut or not cut your hair.
Obviously.
Obviously, go for it. It's like how many girls are like, I keep my hair long because my boyfriend likes my hair long. Gross. Right? Yeah. Cut it.
Yeah.
There's, people who find empowerment in androgyny in cutting their hair short. So what are your thoughts quickly about cutting your hair?
I can see like both avenues of that. There have been many times in my life that I've gone through trauma and I will cut my hair. I will shave it all off.
Cut away that part of yourself.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't want to revisit it. I don't want any part of it. And it's a healing feeling to you don't have those memories attached to you anymore. Yeah. But I can understand why people would not cut their hair for the same reason.
Sure.
Like just the fact of just getting rid of it and having it like not having those attachments. There have been times where like I love having a shaved head just for the sake of I feel cleaner. It's easier to take care of. I can use body wash. I don't have to worry about conditioner. I don't have to worry about anything,
Styling, you just go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wash and wear.
Yeah.
The fastest wash and wear.
Yeah, the fastest.
But like shaving your head, you know, as female presenting sometimes comes with its challenges too, because there have been many people that have tried to just come up and touch my head or want to rub my head. I've had older white males be like, "Can I rub your head?" And I'm like,
Absolutely
"No,
not.
do not come near me." You know, like that's just because it's something different or it's something, you know, that is interesting to you or whatever. It doesn't give you the permission to touch somebody else's hair, touch somebody else's body or anything.
Skin. I've seen people be like, "Oh, your skin," and I'm like,
Ah.
"Whoa, gross." One of the things that I will say is that people do come up to me and try to touch my hair, and they try to talk to me about my hair and ask me about my hair. And I have a choice, right? I could be like, "Get away from me. You're gross," right? Or I could say, "Thank you for asking me questions. Let me share what I know about my hair. Let me share what I know about cultural appropriation versus appreciation. Let me share what I know about natural hairstyles."
Yeah.
You know, I still don't want you to touch my hair.
Yeah.
But thank you for asking. Yes, I wash my hair. No, I don't have lice. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm answering these questions. And so even if this one curious person goes and is like, now they have this knowledge that they have to go with them, then I feel better about myself in the world. Not everybody likes to answer questions, but having dreads for over 10 years of my life, like, I will say that it's like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, to keep a shaved head as a female presenting person is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Until you decide not to, right? But people will ask you questions, and you could be rude about it, or you could answer their questions.
Yeah.
And help them be more knowledgeable in our collective consciousness. Also, people should know not to just touch people or their babies. Because gross.
Please don't touch my baby.
Because
Ever.
gross. Yeah, you should always ask permission before touching another person. Get consent. Consent is powerful and real.
Always.
Also, because, and you had mentioned this before, a lot of people's hair or the way that they dress is used in order to fight trauma. I know that after I had abusive trauma in my childhood, I could not wait to get fat. I was like, I want to be fat. Because I don't want anybody to touch me or look at me or have anything to want to do with me. And so I used my weight as a form of control. And that made me feel powerful because I was young. I was in 4th grade. Like, what am I going to do to control myself? And so what I could control was the amount that I ate or didn't eat. And I'm not saying that that's a positive way. Body dysmorphia and eating disorders are a big issue in the world, and so obviously always try to get help if you're feeling like you're running down that path. But it was something that I was in control of. It
was the way you knew how to cope with it at the time.
So now I use other methods of self-love and self-care, including dressing the way that I dress, wearing the hair the way that I wear it, wearing my makeup the way that I wear it, because that's what makes me feel powerful now. But a lot of people do dress and act the way that they do because it's fighting trauma.
I can relate to that. I was in a relationship at one point where this person did not like when I dressed masculine. And so I got to the point in the relationship where I was like, bye.
Kick rocks.
Yeah. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want you to be attracted to me. And so I would purposely dress more masculine when I was around that person to deflect any kind of attention, affection, because I was like, I'm over it. I don't want you to be interested.
So that, getting back to Glamour Magick, and we'll end here on Glamour Magick, but that was your glamour. So Glamour Magick can be defined kind of like using magic or to change the perception of a body or of an object to the eye of somebody else. So dressing more masculine was a glamour that you put on to have this person not see you as somebody who is attractive that they wanted to be around, right? So that was your protection glamour magic that you put on yourself. Our reader here, I think that they put eclectic clothing on as a glamour so that people can view them as a strong and confident person when really they're soft and squishy and meek inside. Right? So they use their magic and their clothing and their hair as a form of magic for having the world perceive them in a way that they want to be seen.
Yes.
And so I would say to this person too, like, again, it's about intention. You already are a strong and confident person by putting on the clothes that you're putting on.
Right.
So tell yourself that as you put your clothes on. Tell yourself that you're putting these clothes on and this makeup on because you are strong and confident in who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, it's not a crutch because you are in control of what you're putting out there.
Yeah. Also, by putting those clothes on, you are sending out this persona of strength and confidence to the world that people who you might not even talk to or might not even see are seeing. And then they feel more confident in themselves. That person did it, so I can do it too. I think about that all the time when I go to the beach and I see big girls in bikinis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn girl,
Yeah.
you can do it, I can do it too. That's inspiring to me. Like, that makes me feel good. So just know that how you are projecting yourself in the outward is being perceived by people in multiple different ways. You might have the viewer that says, that looks weird, why are they doing that? But that person might on the inside be like, man, I wish I had the confidence to do that, you know? So you just really don't know.
Or you might attract people that have that same, like, hey, that's my type of people,
Yeah.
you know, like.
Yep, absolutely. I can't tell you how many people I see that go, oh, your wings are on point today, or,
Yeah.
you know, I love your dress, or I love your outfit. I have something like that at home too, or like, I would love to dress like that, you know. So it is empowering and it is inspiring to others around you. So continue to be extraordinary and the ordinary,
Heck yeah.
because I mean, unless you need it in your life, which I get, but the extraordinary is powerful. So I think that's about all we have
All
for
right.
today. Actually, we could keep talking.
We could.
This
2.0.
yeah,
Episode 2.0.
I love it. Alder, if people wanted to find you, is that something that you would like for your, like, maybe your Instagram handle or
Sure.
something like that? And your art, you're an artist as well.
Yeah, I post some stuff on Instagram. My Instagram is at Totally Brutal, but it's TOAD.
Like a toad.
Like a toad. ALLY, and then brew, like witch's brew, BREWTAL. So
I love it. It's very witchy.
it took me a long time to come up with something
It's a solid
that witty.
choice. It's a solid choice. Very witty. We'll list that handle in our show notes
Awesome.
here. And then occasionally you can be found working here.
Yeah, come see me.
So that's awesome. Alder is a good person to help me around the shop. So I really appreciate your help here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys want to send in listener questions, which I would love to see your listener questions, send them via email to bellamyblack333@gmail.com, or you can send them via snail mail right here to the shop at 116 East Front Street. That's the South Suite, Traverse City, Michigan, 49684. We are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, so you can find us there as well. Mostly those are all listed at Ask a Witch Bellamy, and so we'll list all those show notes or those handles down in the show notes. Alder, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
It's been a pleasure to have you. I think this is a topic that really reaches a lot of people. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email us as well. We're happy to answer all those questions. No question is a stupid question. That's about all I got for today.
All right.
Thanks, Alder.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
Before we conclude our episode, we want to talk to you about our feature business of the day, Charles and Reed Detroit-style pizza. These guys are no squares, but their pizzas are. Expertly baked in square pans and topped with a thick layer of rich sauce. Oh, and you gotta try their subs, salads, and specialty items. They are amazing. Located in the alleyway between Front and State Street, downtown Traverse City, Michigan. Order food to go or stop by for a beer and have a go at the bubble hockey table. Dan and the crew at Charles and Reed have been huge supporters of Blessed Be and Ask a Witch since day one. They are a small family-run business just living the dream of gifting the world with great pizza. Stop in and grab a slice today. 113 East Front Street, Traverse City, Michigan. Check our show notes for more details. Thank you, Charles and Reed, for your support.
This has been Ask a Witch with Bellamy Black, a podcast fueled by the curiosity of listeners like you. We have a strong presence on the World Wide Web. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Ask a Witch Bellamy. Check out our live recordings on our YouTube channel at Ask a Witch Bellamy. Handles are listed in the show notes. For a chance to meet Bellamy in person, visit Blessed Be Tea and Apothecary in Traverse City, Michigan.